There it is. We're locked in. Shop Talk with Jamie Z. How are you, Jamie?
Hi, I am lovely on this. What's today, Tuesday?
I think it's Tuesday.
Tuesday afternoon with DJ.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I know we've been talking about it for a long time, and there's been a lot of changes for you
Yes.
in the marketplace, which we want to get to and want to hear all about.
Totally.
So where I want to start is just with you in general. You know, your background and where you come from and how you got to where you are, and then we'll go into your new chapter.
Yes. So parents are from Downers Grove, high school sweethearts, super cute story. I went to Julian Catholic for high school, Illinois State for college, and that's where I was just talking about what I majored in, which was marketing and communications. And one of the things that I got to do with that was I was the weather girl on TV 10 News. Which
You
is
were
like
the weather girl.
Yes, I was like, and over here, and over there.
Outstanding.
I had it on a flash drive and I lost it.
Uh-oh.
I wish I still had it so I could watch myself, but it was like so embarrassing. I would do it in the morning. You would record in the morning and they would play it on, like the college station, whatever you want to call
Sure.
it. It was Channel 10. And I would be at the gym at night, and then like there would be me doing the weather.
Were you in front of a like a green screen?
Yes.
Very cool.
And the best part was everything's opposite. So you had to like, if you wanted to go right, you had to go left, and it took a little bit to adjust that, but it was really cool. Unfortunately, weather girls don't make a lot of money.
Well, I was going to ask, was that something that you wanted to pursue, even at the time being in communications? Was that something that you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, I got really into it for a little bit, and then I asked, my teacher, how do you pursue that? And she was like, next you have to do meteorology, and I was like, that sounds hard. I don't know about that. I'm trying to graduate. Insert sales, business development, marketing.
Wow. No more weather girl.
No more weather girl. But I always tell people that it was like my coolest job, and if I could ever be something, I would probably do that.
Weather girl.
Weather girl.
Outstanding.
Yes.
So you went from weather girl to the commercial real estate industry.
Yeah. So that's another funny one. I applied at my first job in the industry, an engineering consulting firm, on LinkedIn. So you could do more than just talk to people and message people on LinkedIn. You can find your job.
Excellent.
So I applied through LinkedIn, got a call, got hired, and I started in marketing. So doing like actual true marketing, working on the computer, putting together ads, doing InDesign. So I can do all that. It's not my favorite. And while working at ECS, the engineering firm, they drove me kind of into the business development world. They're like, you can talk to people. You seem like you're kind of bored in the office. Go to this networking event. Go to this event. Why don't we set up some lunch and learns? And it kind of drove me to the business development side. So that's kind of how that took off. And
what was the first commercial real estate event you ever went to? Do you remember?
So do you remember SMPS?
Oh, of course.
Society for Marketing Professional
of course.
Services. So it was so funny. The first year I started at ECS, SMPS, so many acronyms in this industry.
There's plenty.
SMPS was like, you get the award for attending the most events, because ECS was like, the membership's being transferred into your name.
Right.
Did you ever know the girl I replaced? Sherry?
I don't.
So they're like, she was a member. We're transferring the membership into your name. Go to the event. And then I just started going to all their events.
I attended quite a few in my past life.
Programs. I tell people whenever I meet, my younger self, turning 30 tomorrow, guys.
Hey, now.
I tell people when they're first coming in, and when I can tell they're kind of like green, I'm like, you need to go to SMPS. It's awesome. You're meeting like people. So for those of you who don't know, SMPS is Society for Marketing Professional Services. It's all the marketing and business development people in the AEC industry, so architects, engineers, and contractors.
Right.
So it's a really good starting place if you're new and you want to meet people, because, I think, as you probably know, us BD people, salespeople, marketing people, we know how to help each other out. And it's kind of like you feel the pain because you know what they're going through. So I felt like everyone there was so welcoming, so warming to just have coffee or lunch. And I literally would be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Can you help me? Literally, not even kidding.
So the playbook for you starting out in business development was basically your own.
Yeah, I just made it up as I went. And obviously at Illinois State, I did have some sales classes and I had some marketing classes. So you kind of learn kind of about that and planning and having a roadmap. And, you know, we learned about creating market research and creating a marketing plan and a sales plan. And
Yeah.
so I had like that whole thing from my education background. But yes, coming into, you know, ECS and starting and being thrown out there, that's kind of how I learned the ropes as well as talking to like my counterparts.
The big question, I think, in starting out in a BD role, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is like, where do you go?
Yeah.
You know, I was very fortunate to have a mentor in my career.
Totally.
And through that was able to figure out pretty quickly where I was going to spend a lot of my time, especially early on in my career. You know, you not having a playbook, you know, hitting SMPS, and let's face it, you're pretty shy and you don't like to talk to people.
Yeah, right.
You know, what did you think moving from SMPS to some of the other organizations? Like, what was helpful?
That was a lot of things that I would ask the people at SMPS. I would say, what organizations do you go to? What publications are you subscribed to? That's kind of where I got introduced to. And I'm sure you have real estate journals, BizNow. Sign up for Cranes, sign up for their real estate articles. And that's kind of how it rolled. And then I just started going to stuff and getting all these bombarded with all these e-blasts now. And it's funny, one of the things that I tell people now, you know, I'm like 6, almost 7 years, I guess, in this world. It's becoming a time issue. Like, I don't have enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
And, you know, you want to have a life. And
it becomes a matter of prioritizing where you're going to have the most impact.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
ROI.
I always tell people, too, you know, when you're starting out, you have to figure out kind of who your audience is, who your people are. And if you're a fisherman, where do you want to fish?
Exactly.
You want to fish where the fish are, you know?
Yeah.
You know, for you know, someone that's maybe, you know, on the architectural design side of our business, for them to spend a lot of time in a place that doesn't really impact their business, maybe not be the best, you know, the best avenue. So,
yeah, that's one of the things, like.
But it is trial and error. I mean, you have to go to the meetings and you have to go to some of the events. And
I tell people all the time, they're like, what do you think about Crew? Or what do you think about AIA? What do you think about ULI, Cornet, whatever one is? And
you have to go.
It's consistency. You have to keep going. You see the same people. The people that are involved with the organization start to trust you, start to maybe throw some referrals your way. Because that's one of, I would say, the biggest thing is this is a real relationship-based business, but also referrals are huge.
Sure. I think the relationship side of the business is probably the single biggest driver.
Totally.
Single biggest driver, because at the end of the day, you're going to rely on people you know in the industry to help you, like you said. I mean, you know, if I have a question about an opportunity you guys are working on, I'm going to call you and say, hey, what is this?
Yeah, and like you feel comfortable calling them versus Joe Schmo. You're like, I don't really know him. I'm just going to call him and be like, I'm Jaime, which is what I'm doing now.
He's going to know who you are. You get your picture taken a lot, Jaime.
Yes, that's another thing. LinkedIn.
How do you go about doing that, Jaime? I've always been curious. It appears that Jaime is everywhere.
I am everywhere. No, but really, I'm super organized with my schedule. Like, I have the gym at this time I have a lot of things that are at the same time every day. I do my follow-up at this time. I have my lunch. I do this. I do that. And I tell a lot of people, I promise I'm not sleeping in till like 11. I don't stay out past usually like 10:30 because I start getting tired.
Yeah.
Because my whole, like, starting my day off is going to the gym in the morning. So, like, this morning, I was up at 5:30.
Get your mind going.
Yeah. And I was thinking while I was at my spin class, like, what am I going to talk about today?
Okay. Good segue. Good segue.
That's how I did it.
So you are now at Rex Electric.
Yes. So
tell me about the transition.
Started at Rex in March, and it happened actually really fast.
Well, I know that you and I talked a long time ago.
Yes.
About I asked you what was next, right?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm ready for a challenge. So In December, I was at my 5-year at my old company, and I don't know if anyone knows about ESOPs, but there's this thing where you get vested. I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about this. And I was like, my 5 years, I'm vested. I guess you get like paid out money. I probably sound so stupid about this right now. And then
we can edit it
yes,
out.
So
Jamie.
the 5-year, I was on the 5-year plan. At my 5th year, which was in December, January, I started putting feelers out, and Rex had actually approached me a few months prior, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit later as well. And I had told them I wasn't ready, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and so I just started talking to people. And Rex never went away. They just kept stalking me.
Well, they went through a big transition as well. So talk a little bit about that.
So, so I started with Rex, and I'm still obviously learning. But the biggest thing, and I would say the most attractive reason why I kind of wanted to go to Rex, was they got bought by Chugach, Alaskan Corporation, in 2016. And so they're kind of in this growth, new leadership, let's blow this up, let's get to 200 million stage. And
what is Chugach? Let's talk about that first.
So Chugach, just so I have a little note here just so I don't mess this up.
Perfect.
Okay, so Chugach. Rex was acquired by them in 2016, and they were established in 1972. Let me see this. Under the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act.
Okay.
And basically, the mission of Chugach is they serve the interests of the Alaskan Natives for the Chugach region. There's 2,500 plus shareholders, and these shareholders are relying on Chugach having returns on their investments, having dividends, providing for them job opportunities, making sure their land is run right, and then also preserving their heritage and traditions for future generations. They're huge about that, maintaining their culture.
Sure.
And I don't know the whole backstory about how Chugach got introduced to Rex, but I know one of the things that Chugach is all about is diversifying and not having all their eggs in one basket. One thing, and there's a video you can watch on their website. It's like ChugachAlaskanCorporation.com, something like that. And they have a video on there, and they talk about diversifying and how they have a lot of their contracts right now are in the federal.
Okay.
Being Alaskan Natives, having that whole MBE minority
Yeah.
interest.
Government contracts.
Yes, they have a lot of government contracts. So they wanted to start dabbling into the commercial world. And that's kind of where we are getting involved.
So a government contract led them to Chicago.
I believe so.
Okay.
And one of the things also, too, about Chugach, they're a $1 billion corporation. And I wrote these little facts down. 125 locations, 30 states, 6 countries, 5,000 employees. And at the end of the day, what does that mean for Rex?
Right.
2 things. So I'd say the main newest, I guess, thing that Rex is dealing with is that we are considered an MBE firm, and we're certified by the Chicago Minority Supplier Diversity Council. And not to be confused with City of Chicago MBE certified, because that's a different ballgame.
Yep.
Rex is too big as far as revenue to qualify for City of Chicago MBE status. Asked about that one already. But one of the main things that's great about this being owned by this corporation is we have the financial strength and bonding capacity to go after larger projects, which is basically what our new president, Doug, hi Doug, is all about. He's like, I want to go after high rises. And I'm like, the sky is the limit. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Insert Jaime Z.
So far, you've been there a few months now.
Yeah.
And how are you finding?
So I would say the biggest thing that I'm dealing with right now that I didn't have at my old company was, at my old company, it was so niche. Anything I brought in, any sort of, and I was doing RFPs. Now we're doing more like bids.
Well, and
RFP, they do some.
There's a whole network behind Rex.
Yes.
That is a part of the process.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, network right here.
Yeah.
We're all
the GCs that we love.
Everybody's a part of the process, right?
Now I'm losing my train of thought.
Well, how are you finding the learning curve, I guess, is my question.
So this is the biggest thing I was going to say. Okay, so at my old company, what we were doing was so niche. Anything I brought in, we put together a proposal or a bid for. Rex is a little bit different. Here, because there's so many GCs, there's so much construction work. We also, Rex has a whole service side, so we'll go direct to the building too. We can't bid everything. And on top of this, these RFPs I was putting together before, a lot of them were cost proposals, and they could put them together in like an hour or two, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Some of these bids for these really complex projects are taking like 7 to 10 days.
Sure.
And there's an estimator just digging in. So that's like the biggest thing for me. I'm like, well, why can't we bid that? No, let's just make it happen. Like, I know this guy, he's really cool. He reached out to me. We have to bid this. I can't say no.
You're
like,
used
I'm
to
not a
having
no.
you're used to having your hand in everything.
I'm just used to them always saying yes. And now I have to make I don't want to say argument, but we have to be like, which one do we have better luck at? Which one be strategic on what we're putting our resources, meaning like our project managers and our estimators and even me, because there's just so much work.
Right. So you're in a BD role there now.
Yes. Well, my official title is account manager. Under that, I've been assigned some GCs, Langehaumer being one of them. Yay. And also business development activities, growing accounts, establishing new accounts, etc.
How are you going to do that? So what now?
Well, we got to flip the page.
This came out of your spin class, so
this is all my notes. Guys.
Stick to your bullet points,
Jamie.
You stick to your bullet points.
No, okay. So, it's funny because one of the first things I did when I got there, and I'm still trying to figure out, is what is Rex really good at? Like, who is Rex today, and where does Rex want to go?
Sure.
So, like, I get it. You want to go after these high rises, but we gotta like work to it. And that was like one of the things at my old company. I knew kind of where we sat in the marketplace, and I'm learning that now about Rex. Like, I knew, okay, we have a better chance at this mid-rise versus going after the high rise, and I'm sure you can attest to this. The maybe not so sexy projects, less people are going after, which means it's less competition for you to get in.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, common sense, right?
Yeah.
You want to do the sexy projects, but maybe you're going to get a better profit.
Listen, everybody wants to promote the fact that they're doing Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants the project that's like a piece of gum in your hair.
Yeah, but you probably are making a bigger profit.
The gum in your hair keeps the lights on and the doors open, man.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
Agreed.
So you're learning how to prioritize opportunities.
And I have to say no to people, which I hate. But I'm getting used to that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, like, due to capacity of our estimators, we can't bid them all. So that part is just an adjustment for me altogether.
Okay. And within your process, you mentioned a little earlier that you have, people in-house that when you bring an opportunity in, you've got project managers and you have estimators, et cetera. Tell me a little bit about the roles of those people and how you're interacting with them.
Yeah, so every Monday we have an estimating meeting, and we kind of go over our bid schedule for the week, and that's when we have a lot of last-minute surprises. We have to bid this one, and that's where I'm in there like, I really want to do this one. Well, then we have to take XYZ project out because we just can't get to them all. So we sit there on Monday. We have project managers, estimators, and our BD salespeople in the room, and it's just kind of getting us set for the week. And then I've been assigned certain general contractor accounts, and with those, they have project managers assigned to them as well. So then my next step is I'm kind of meeting with all the project managers that I have accounts with and asking them if there's anything I can do to help. What have they got going on this week? Is there a big
the project managers inside of GCs are your clients?
Yes. So the project managers at the GCs, and then we also have like our electrical project managers too. But yes, so one of the main things totally is what I'm doing is I'm talking to every and any GC project manager that will give me the time of day.
Sure. Well,
and making them my best friend.
And how are you finding that to be?
Well,
you got a lot of best friends.
I know exactly what they like. They like nice cocktails, lovely dinners,
of course,
sporting games,
of course.
I don't know. That's the other thing. You have to think outside the box. I feel like no one wants to just go to Wrigley Field and sit in the bleachers anymore. Like,
not everybody.
Nope. Like for me, that's a great time.
Well, I think that the landscape of how we get business done and how we form relationships has changed. It used to be that you could get a more significant amount of time from people, and you could have, kind of long events with people, whether it
now
be
people
Cubs
are like-
games or golf or things like that. And there's still a fair amount of people that will give you that kind of time, but more often than not now it's, hey, let's meet for a quick cup of coffee, and
Yep.
you kind of spit out your elevator speech in that time. Hopefully you have a new elevator speech.
Oh,
Have you been
yeah, I've
working on it, perfecting
I've
it?
been working on that one.
You've been perfecting it?
Well, and that's the thing too. I think not to age anyone in the room,
Stop it.
but
You're not going to age yourself. You're going to age me. Don't do that.
I don't have kids. So like you were saying, you seem to be everywhere. And I'm like, I don't have kids.
Right.
So therefore, I always have to care about me, myself, and I. My boyfriend's going to kill me for that one.
Yeah.
But I don't have to, be responsible for someone else. So a lot of times that's one of the other things.
Yeah.
I feel like some of these more experienced, maybe that have like the 10 plus years
Seasoned. I'm seasoned. Is that what you're alluding to?
Go.
Yeah.
They want to do the coffees and the breakfasts and the quick lunch,
I
and
do.
then they want to get home and they want to do sports, and they're a new mom and they want to put their baby to sleep. Like,
well, I can tell you from more experience, that the work-life balance
Yep.
changes dramatically.
Totally. I don't have that.
I do so much more over coffee and maybe a round of golf here and there than I do now at drinks after work.
Yep.
But a lot of the people that I interact with that are avenues for me and for Langehaumer to get business, those people are kind of at the same stage.
Yep.
Right? Where it's you can still call a group of guys or a group of people and get them out.
Yep.
But it's much easier to say, hey, let's meet for a cup of coffee at 10 o'clock, quick lunch, bucket of balls, whatever it happens to be. But the time is shorter.
Yes.
Right.
Well, I like that. Go to the range.
Well, you have to be,
bucket of balls.
but then you have to be more dialed in about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. And what the purpose of that time is. I'm always trying to be respectful of time because it's the one thing that none of us have more of.
I know. Literally, time management. I talk about it all the time to myself. How can I be, work smarter, not harder?
Yeah, well.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's funny that you bring that up, because one of the things that I do, let's say I'm trying to get in with a certain GC or a certain someone, and let's say they're like an executive vice president. Normally I'll bring our executive vice president with.
Sure. Yeah.
Like match. I kind of like, I'm a matchmaker. But I feel like that's really important, just to show that you're respecting their time. If you're going to have 20 people in the room, like, I'm going to bring our president because I want them to show that we value having all those are resources tied up, right?
Yeah, of course.
So that is one of the things that I try to be more, I guess, aware of. Sure.
So I mentioned the elevator speech.
Oh, yes, the elevator speech.
Have you kind of perfected your new speech yet?
So yeah, my new elevator speech is, and it's really funny because I think I need to change it again.
Well, it's going to evolve.
Yes.
It's going to evolve.
So basically, yeah, now I'm over, because a lot of people are like, oh, you're not at ECS anymore. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I just moved over in March to Rex Electrical Contracting, and we also have a technology arm as well. We focus on a lot of new construction interior build-outs. There's also a service side. So Rex Building Service, we're going direct to the building, and most of our targets are going to be either general contractors, property managers, chief engineers, and decision makers.
I have to imagine that moving to a company like Rex that already had such a reputation in the marketplace, that you don't have to really go too far into
normally not
that
so
that
much.
type of an elevator speech. I tend to say it more to people that I don't know or that are outside of the industry, when it's the, hey, what do you do for a living?
Totally.
Yeah, mine's pretty easy. I mean, I work for a general contractor. We build things.
Build things.
All the things in Chicago you see, yeah, we build those. That's what we do.
Yeah.
I think that's easy for anybody to kind of, in their mind say, oh yeah, no, I understand that. Whereas, coming from a furniture background and working at a furniture dealership, it's really hard to talk about, what you're doing as a a furniture salesperson.
So how long did you do furniture for?
Oh God, long time. That was a long time. I was with Desks Incorporated. Jim Ford, who was one of my mentors, and learned about business development from him. I mean, I came from the publishing side of commercial real estate. I was with Illinois Real Estate Journal.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
And before that, I was with a publication called The Black's Guide, which was essentially CoStar in print form before CoStar was CoStar. So I started calling on, leasing reps early on, and my audience really has never changed.
Yeah, that's one of the things right when I started at Rex. As I was talking to Patrick Lancaster, he's our executive vice president. He was like, think about people in your existing network that could be our clients, because those are going to be your easier targets to start with.
The answer to that question is everybody.
Yeah. Well,
that's the answer.
That's so fun. Okay, so that was one of the other things. Okay, so as I'm talking to my family, and my family kind of knows a little bit about construction, blah, blah, blah. And other people, that I was, hey, what do you think about this Rex thing, blah, blah, blah. And literally one person said to me, this is going to be like so stupid, everything needs power. I was like, you're so right.
It's true.
Everything needs power.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so it's been interesting. Rex does, the power side, high voltage. We also have a low voltage group. So I'm learning a lot about that. Security, voice data, structured cabling, the buzzwords.
Right. How do you feel about Rex's position in the marketplace and the brand of Rex Electric?
So I feel like they have a really, really, really strong brand. I mean, like you said, you drive around Chicago, you see a Rex service vehicle or a Rex van. Like, I see them all the time when I'm just walking around. I'm like, oh, hey, Rex car. So they do definitely have a strong brand. So I don't feel like I have to do as much, like you said, selling of what is Rex.
Yeah.
The main thing, and I think that even happened when we were in your office the other day, is just like what's going on over there with the new leadership and people changing in and out, and the surgeries are no longer involved, and et cetera. So I would say
I think Chugach did a pretty good job of putting the story out there.
Yeah.
And controlling how it was told. Coming straight from their leadership.
Totally.
To talk about, why they're involved with it. I mean, there's probably a million people that haven't seen that video yet, but when they made the transition, for those of you that don't know, when they made the transition,
2016,
right? They Chugach released this
video, press release video,
and it went from a family-owned company to a, part of a corporate portfolio.
Yep.
And within that, some of the changes in philosophies and things like that. But the brand itself, I mean, there was virtually seamless in the change.
I mean, the guys that were all there before me, I mean, they did an awesome job. Mm-hmm. So, like, that was another obviously big factor when you're looking at a new company. Like, do you want to work for, small potatoes where you're going to be, like, working to build the brand? Because one of the things, as I've been talking to other people that worked on the sub side, they're like, everyone, pretty much any GC is probably going to let Rex bid their work.
Right.
Now, if you're a smaller sub, they're going to be like, who are you? Why are you calling us? I don't know. My boss is kind of like, he likes these 5.
Right.
So that is like one like awesome thing totally that I was thinking about as I was going to the sub side.
Well, I know that for us, I mean, we've had a long standing relationship with Rex. And through that transition, it was no different.
Yep.
For us in terms of how we bid it, working straight with the GCs now. For you, what do you feel is some of like the most important thing that you're talking to about the GCs?
Yeah. So one of the things, and
because you can probably talk about a lot of things that are impactful, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things is what I'm asking people now, and I didn't really think about it. Is like, what is the timeline? Mm-hmm. Is this going to be fast moving? Is this budget? Is this like, are we starting this next week? Are we starting this in 2 months? Because we're trying to keep track of that in our own system. We use Salesforce, but also a lot of things that I'm asking a lot of GCs, and this is just for my own help in creating kind of like a sales tactic, is I'm like, what are your pain points? What makes you pick an electrical contractor or subcontractor? Is it just price? Are you throwing out the low budget number?
Yes and no.
How do you work through that? Like,
Yeah.
what are some things that I can make sure? And a lot of times, and I mean, I have never heard one person say, like, if you hire X, you're going to get a great job done. Like, they service their clients.
Mm-hmm.
You know exactly what you're getting. One guy the other day was like, I think we have on average 300 electricians in the field. They were like, they have the best electricians. I've never had an issue with them showing up or causing any problems. So my main thing is like, what are your deciding factors? Because not everyone is like low budget.
Sure.
Although some people are.
Well, I mean, that's kind of dictated by the job. I tend to think that schedule is probably the most important. And, you know, can you meet a tight schedule? The budget is what the budget is. I mean, if you tell me it's going to cost $1 million and three other subcontractors say it's going to cost $1 million, and it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, who's got the greatest capacity to perform the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if you're the highest of the three or four, that doesn't mean that you're bounced out because you're the highest. I mean, there's plenty of opportunity where we need the best.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's kind of where another thing I'm learning is like the follow-up, like how much is enough follow-up, how much is too much. I just never, especially on some of these bigger opportunities, I'm always thinking like, could I have done this better? Could I have done this instead?
How do you follow up?
So
what's your way?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're kind of working through right now at Rex, and me still being new and whatnot. But on some of so it's kind of like, how well do you know the client and how do you communicate with them? So I have some guys, I'll text you, right?
Sure.
I would totally text you. I have other people where I'll email. I had a couple where they're like, a phone call is great. I appreciate a phone call. And I've even had some where like, stop by the office, come follow up that way. You can come in the office, Wednesday mornings and drop off bagels and ask us about any projects. So it's really knowing your client and what works for them, and really just being a resource to them. And
how much is too much follow-up?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. Yesterday on the phone, I'm like, so new drawings are being released tomorrow. If I don't see them, can I call you next week? That's literally what I said.
Does that work?
I guess. He was like, sure, call me.
I love it.
He was like, yeah, you can call me. I think I might have a slight a slight advantage. Because people think it's like Jaime. They don't know if they're getting a boy Jaime or a girl Jaime. And then they're like, oh, it's girl Jaime. Okay.
That's funny.
And she's bubbly and fun.
Can't you tell by the spelling of the name or no?
No, because some people think it's Jaime. I've gotten that too.
I've never put that together.
All
the time I've known you, I've actually never put that together.
Yes, I get it all the time. It's funny. I'm like, do you not see the Polish last name? Like, come on.
So moving forward now for you, what are a couple of things that you feel are going to kind of continue to help separate Jaime from, or Jaime?
Yeah, Jaime. Now you're gonna start calling me that.
I will not. I will not. Jay-Z, you are Jay-Z.
Yeah, Jay-Z all the way.
I mean, you talk a lot about managing your time and being an authentic person. You and I have had that conversation before.
I totally agree with that 100%.
I mean, what are the things that you're kind of clinging to continue to help yourself grow into the position and maybe out of the position? You never know.
Yeah. So some of the things right now is we've kind of gone through at Rex existing clients that they want me to focus on. Okay, cool. And then creating kind of a new target list, maybe GCs that they used to work with 5 years ago. And I like a challenge. So, of course, I like gravitate towards that because I'm like, oh, I know so-and-so there and I'll get us a meeting and then we'll talk about this. And then I'm going to keep pushing and pushing until I get an opportunity.
You're always connecting those dots.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, my head literally spins. Spins at night sometimes. I feel like I wake up and I'm like, oh, my God, did I send that email?
We've all been there.
Yes. But I mean, one of the huge, and I'm sure everyone knows about this, but one of the huge things that I use, I'm probably on it excessively too much, is LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a LinkedIn, get one now. I think some people are scared of LinkedIn though.
Well, I personally think that LinkedIn's got so much capacity and so much capability that even people that use it a lot probably don't understand.
Oh, yeah.
And what you can do with it. Yeah, it's a powerful tool.
Yeah, and I have mine turned on so people can see that I'm stalking them because I want them to know I look at them. But there's a way to make it private so that, and I think you have to pay for the upgrade. But I'm just like cheap, and I'm like, I don't care.
I typically don't care.
I want them to see I'm looking at them.
I'm if I'm checking out a profile of someone, I'm checking it out for a reason.
Yep.
And if someone wants to come back and say, "Why aren't you checking out my profile?" Well, hey, the door's open.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So LinkedIn follow up, et cetera. So we were kind of getting into that. So one of my first things I do, I meet someone new, go to a networking event, go to a party, an association, an AIA lunch, whatever it is that you're going to. The first thing that I do normally is check out their LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of craft an email through that because you can always be like, I went to ISU, Illinois State. So I'd be like, oh, yeah, go Redbirds. You can kind of put something in there at some point.
Yeah.
So look at the LinkedIn first, add them, and then I normally send an email. And I used to be way better at this, and I know I need to get back at it. But I used to, like, no matter who, what, where, when the person was, I would be like, let's get coffee or let's get this. I have to be a little bit more
giving that time.
Yes, yeah. I have to be a little bit more.
Yeah. You don't have any more of that though, Jaime.
I know. Well, because everyone wants me on their committee.
Oh, come on now.
I just got asked to be on another one.
Oh boy.
No, but yes. So really the follow up, and if you have a really good marketing department or a really good website, throw whatever you got on there, and I guarantee someone's gonna look at it for like 2 seconds, but still, whatever. Sure. Yeah. Brand recognition, they'll open it. I have to tell this story. So the best follow-up I got from someone else. So at my old company, we did geotech engineering. Super, for you that don't know this, we would design the foundations. So a foundation contractor, so the person installing the foundations, they had a 20-second video that they threw on in their follow-up to me. And they're like, because normally you're like, attach your brochure or check out my website. This was a 30-second video. And I was like, this is genius. Like, I can watch a 30-second video. I don't have to creep through your website. I don't have to open up your PDF.
Yeah.
And, I feel like now with Instagram and Snapchat and...
Listen, there's a reason...
They love the videos.
There's a reason why we started doing these podcasts and video casts.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
I'm a huge, huge nerd about podcasts.
Yeah.
And I have my go-tos and my favorites that I religiously listen to. And so does Jeff and a couple other people in the office. And it was one of those things where I said to Jeff, we should do podcasts. You know what? And then Jeff said, we should do video podcasts.
Yeah.
Let's kick it up a notch, right?
Totally.
The whole purpose behind it, number one, is to, let keep Langehaumer relevant, right? And we promote it through LinkedIn and all the other social media outlets. It's a way for us to stay connected with everybody in the industry all at one time.
Yep.
But it goes to the way that people are consuming this information now. So much of LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and
it's like what catches your eye.
It is, and it's if you follow, Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Gary Vay, he's an entrepreneur consultant type of a guy, and all of his video clips are like a minute long,
and you're like,
and
engaged.
And it's all this information like bam, 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 right? So I know that I, as a more seasoned business development person,
there we go.
I know that I consume my information quickly that way.
Yeah.
So for us, it's a way to give information about companies like Rex Electric and people like Jaime, give them a platform where people can consume the information, right? Long or short doesn't really matter. It's a matter of let's put these out there and give people an opportunity to have that platform.
Yeah. So do you guys have a YouTube channel too?
We do.
So you put it on YouTube and then you share it on LinkedIn.
We do. So the process for us is I'm constantly hounding people to come in and do this, right? And again, it's a matter of time. And we've gotten to the point now where we've got this pretty dialed in, right? 3 cameras, 2 mics.
Like so professional. I'm loving it.
Now its next step is because there are a couple of podcasts that we have in mind that we want to do that it's more conducive for us to take it there and do it. I won't let the cat out of the bag on who those are, but
Oh, like you're trying to shop a pot.
Well,
like someone
it's-
should take Shop Talk
yeah,
global.
we're gonna take shop talk to the masses.
Oh, my
right?
God,
Like
love
I would love to be able to sit down, at a moment's notice and say, hey, just plug it in, pop and go,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Now we're podcasting,
Yeah.
and we can probably touch more people that way and get more information out and give more people in their companies exposure
Yep.
to the marketplace. So that was kind of the premise behind it. Is how is I asked the question, how are people in my generation, the one behind it and the one behind it and the one coming up behind that, how are they consuming information?
Yeah, the little ones.
Well, but so we started
They
doing
love
this.
YouTube.
It's been a huge success. I mean, Shop Talk's got its own YouTube channel, and what we do is we break down like maybe a 30-second to minute long segment part of this interview.
Like, what's the best part?
Yeah, and we put that out with the link
To the
channel.
Yep.
And once you get to the channel on YouTube, you can see yours, you can see everybody else's that
Yeah.
we've done, and hopefully as it continues to grow, we get very rarely do we get someone that says, I don't want to do the podcast.
How long have you guys been doing this? Like a year?
No, just a
No?
few months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like it was longer.
I've been around a long time,
I
Jamie.
feel like it was the golf outing last year.
No, I think we were talking
Oh,
about
no,
it.
maybe it was the other event you guys do. The one I was gone.
Broker hockey.
Yes, broker hockey.
We did one. Jeff and I did a
I
quick
think
one
that
for
was
broker
when
hockey.
that was the one that first caught my eye, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
Now that the
You
golf
guys
outing,
were talking about the broker hockey.
now that our golf outing is on the horizon, September 26th, Cantini, third
Yeah.
annual for Misericordia. We've got a couple of podcasts coming up around that to
Yep.
help to continue
You
to
should
promote it.
podcast there,
See,
like on the golf
listen,
course.
do not steal my thunder.
Oh, sorry,
Jamie.
but that would be awesome. Like someone swings,
It would be.
and then they come up and they're like, just out here at the Langehaumer Foundation golf outing, having a great day.
It's shop talk at the Langhammer Charities Golf
Yes,
Outing.
that's- You have to make that happen.
It's like I said, yeah, stealing my thunder. But that was the premise behind it. It was, how do we give other people an opportunity to talk about their company
Mm-hmm.
and also talk about the relationship between what they do and what we do, which inevitably gets covered in the conversation, right?
Yep.
And a lot of people that I've talked to so far have been people from kind of my world, right? From the business development side of our business.
Yep.
And people talk about, how they do what they do and what works best, because obviously, what works best for me is not what works best for you.
So
and
true.
You got to kind of find your own way, which is
Something.
why I always ask those questions about, how are you finding your way and what's working for you,
Yeah.
right? So now that you are at Rex, and you're in your, full capacity in sales and BD, like where do you see it going?
I thought that maybe one time I wanted to be like, I do want to be a boss. Don't you worry.
Ah,
But managing people's hard.
it is. It's a special skill set for sure.
Yes. When I was at ECS, for 6 months, I had convinced them to bring on a marketing coordinator that was like directly underneath me. Backstory: I was using the marketing resources from a different region, so we were subsidiaries from a different subsidiary, and so I convinced them to let me bring on like one just for the Midwest.
Okay.
And so she was like basically under me, and it's just like I almost felt like it was making me have to be more like in the office, present, like leading the way. And I'm always so used to just kind of like doing my own thing, right? Checking in on Monday. Normally, I check in with my boss, whatever, my people. I stop by the office a couple days a week. I'm calling, emails, whatever. But I was feeling like I had to be more in the office to set a good example. And I was like, I don't know about this.
Well, right now you're really overseeing yourself.
Yeah. So now that's the other thing. Being, having the discipline,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have the discipline to set up the meetings, the discipline to follow up, and sometimes, occasionally I am out late at night and, getting up the next morning sucks, but you just got to roll with it. Right.
Of course.
And I will tell you, when Friday 3 o'clock rolls around, Jaime is putting on her pajamas. and watching reality TV. Real Housewives.
Okay, yeah. That's what, every once in a while when it's on.
Literally.
Well,
That's like my Friday night.
But that's that work-life balance, right?
Yes.
And that's, for me, it's a little different. It's leave here and then handle whatever the kids have going on until that's done.
Yep.
And then it's home with the kids, and there's a whole process,
Yeah.
Behind that. And even though it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, by the time, we actually sit down and maybe even have dinner at that point,
I know.
it's
horrible.
I got to get up at, still up at 6.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, being out at events and everything is all great. And for me, it's, oh, wow, hey, it's 7 o'clock. I got to go. People look at it, it's like, what's the matter with you?
You gotta drive to the burbs.
Like, well, first off, no matter what I do or how late I stay out, my kids get up in the morning.
That's what I hear is the big adjustment.
They get up and they're happy to see daddy, and they want time. And you got to at least show them a B game. You're not on your A game until 2 cups of coffee, but you got to at least show them a B game, right?
Yes, I've heard that's like the worst part. Like, hangovers don't go away because the kids are still there.
Your kids are going to get up and they're going to want time. So again, as it the career evolves and continues to take different shapes, that the priority becomes a little bit different. I tend to Houdini pretty early now when I'm out.
Oh, I did one of those the other night. I was like, gotta go.
So what's on the horizon for you?
So, for fun or for work? Because for fun, I have my birthday tomorrow.
Well, okay. Let's talk about work. We'll finish with fun, but let's talk about work.
So yeah, right now, so I've been assigned these GCs, and then one of the things I think I was talking to Lori about, and it was me and her were just exchanging emails earlier today.
Lori Acuna?
Yes.
Business Development Extraordinaire at Langehaumer Construction.
So when I was in here the other day, we were talking about doing that pedal tavern thing, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things when me and Lori had coffee maybe a month or so ago, we talked about how what I'm running into a little bit at Rex is, okay, Mr. GC gets the project. Mr. GC goes back to the building, right? Or the owner says, I prefer that you use XYZ
of course.
Electrical contractor sub. And so that has kind of drove me to where I'm kind of trying to do some research and also turn my focus to focusing on buildings. And what I'm learning is some buildings are like the chief engineer is the decision maker. Other buildings, it's the property manager. Sometimes it's the leasing agent. Sometimes it's the broker. So certain buildings have different processes. So I'm kind of learning about that as well. But I really think one of the things that I'm putting into my strategy is not just the GCs, but also focusing on the buildings and the property managers. So me and Lori were talking about doing like a property manager event and taking some folks out on this pedal tavern, on the river.
So in a short amount of time, you're already evolving the position.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm always thinking, and this is another thing I'm trying to think of as like competitive advantage. Why would someone want to use XYZ, instead of Rex? And I'm trying to, one other thing is research your competitors because it's one, you can learn from it and then see what they're doing and kind of use that to your advantage, disadvantage, whatever it may be. But yeah, I'm trying to just figure out how we can, so Mr. GC can't say, oh, the building said to use Rex.
Yeah.
Boom.
Well, in those relationships too, they take time to build.
Yes.
Right. And the trust factor for a building is the most important thing. It's for us.
It's like their baby.
Well, and I always say it takes a long time to gain traction in a building and to become, kind of a trusted partner for a property manager or an asset manager or building engineer, whatever it happens to be. But it takes virtually nothing to get kicked out of the building. Mm-hmm. So once you get in and you make, assumptions and promises that, yes, we can service it, you better service it.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned early Rex has a service side, and so we're like in-house electrical in a couple of buildings downtown, and like one of the big ones is like Merchandise Mart.
Yeah.
I mean, if Merchandise Mart calls, they're dropping everything for them. Yeah.
It's got its own zip code for crying out loud.
Yeah, totally. And then like DePaul's another one of our big one. We have a surface truck that goes there every day. Like DePaul calls, it's happening.
Right. Right.
Because they're just getting a lot of volume, and it's smaller contracts, but
Mhm.
it's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
you
what building
just
work tends to be too. It tends to
smaller,
be,
and then it turns into 2, 3, 4
yeah. You know,
different opportunities.
you can do $10 million in revenue in one building in a
Mhm.
year, but it comes in
Little.
$10,000 increments, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work.
Yep.
But it's constantly going, and it's one job on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, and you can dedicate an entire team just to like that work,
Yeah.
right?
One of the other things I was just talking about was, I can't give all my tricks away, but whatever. I'm sure everyone knows this one. They were like, I was talking to our guy that runs our service group, Jeff Leansvart. And he's like, you need to focus on like the Class C, the older buildings, the
Right.
Class B, because the newer buildings aren't going to have like service work
Well, and
right
two, like
now.
powering a building, like power doesn't discriminate
Yeah.
between an A class and a C class
Yeah,
building,
It's
right?
the same.
Every building needs power,
Yep.
and it shouldn't matter. Like in your world, it shouldn't matter.
No, for me, I'm just like, good idea. I'm going to find the old buildings.
Yeah, we don't typically care if it's an A class or a B class or a C class type of a building. We look more at the job and the scope of the job, and is it something that we can, really highly perform on.
Make money.
That's the other end of it. I mean, none of us work for free.
Yeah. What's like Langehaumer's split, would you say, between suburbs and city?
That's a great question. I would have used to said that it was probably 90% city, 10% suburbs. I would say that delta has closed. It's not a 50-50 by any means. Might be a 70-30. The bulk of our business is downtown.
Yeah. I would say ours is like 80-20.
We've got projects going on kind of all over the Chicagoland area, all the way up in Lake County and
Oh, yeah.
on out to in the south suburbs. We've got some work going on nationally now
Nice.
that we're constantly bidding and putting our hands around.
And so is that an existing client that you've done such a good job here? Is it retail?
No, it's actually it's actually Granger.
Oh.
So Granger nationally has we're a construction management group for them or with them, where the last project that I saw just a couple weeks ago was it was an interior office space or an interior space that they had in their portfolio, but really the bulk of that work was the parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
So it's our PM in-house with our field super in-house, making calls to local guys and kind of figuring out how to get the bid process rolling in another market. It's been pretty good, pretty successful thus far.
Yeah, I was talking, I'm trying to learn more and more about the projects we're working on, and I'm constantly looking at like different reports, like what's going out, what's coming in, and I got the 4 different groups, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things they were just telling me about is it was like PNC Bank or Chase Bank, one of the banks, they're upgrading all of their like ATMs. And so Rex is like doing the power for it. So it's like a bunch of little.
So we did all of the Chase Bank technology rollover. So when Chase got rid of all of their tellers, essentially, and they put in the touchpad kiosks, we did those as the GC for another construction management group.
Yep.
And we did those all over the place. We were doing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at once.
Yeah.
And they all happened overnight. And over the course of 5 or 6 days, the schedule was very tight.
Yeah.
The timelines were very fast.
Because the patrons, we call them patrons, are not in the building, so they were doing it at night.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. And so we installed all of those.
See, those are like great contracts, because guess what? When they have to do that again, who do you think they're going to call?
Well, I would hope that they would call Langehaumer Construction. We have a few accounts like that between Chase and Huntington Bank and Granger, nationwide, that we do a lot of work for. So
yeah, that's one of the other things too.
Account work is great when there's a lot of work going on, right? Account work is not great when there's
a recession.
Well, it's not that, but how they release budget money for per quarter is and we're always hearing, when, work is, steady. They're saying, oh, well, wait till third quarter, fourth
Because
quarter.
that's
They're
our-
going to release the funds. We're
Yep.
going to do this project, da-da-da-da. And then whatever the nature of their business is dictates, you know what, we're going to hold those back and we're going to roll it over into the following year.
Yeah.
And now there's, oh, well, so we don't have enough accounts to rely on account work only.
Yeah. A wise man once told me to follow the money.
Always.
Follow the money. Finance people, where you at? Like to see, for like,
yeah, it's true.
just for example, like when a building gets their construction loan
course.
or a project gets their construction loan,
Yeah.
I'm always reading cranes every morning. It's like part of my routine, right? So checking, and another thing I wanted to bring up. So checking my cranes, seeing what's going on in Chicago. I was at a conference not too long ago and I started this is my new thing that I do. I'm just telling you guys all my tricks. I set up, this is genius. I set up Google alerts for electrical contracting, technology integration, my competitors, a few, like 3 or 4 of them, whatever. And obviously one for Rex Electric. So you get like an email every night, right? I don't know. For those who don't know Google alerts. And so now it's just more information for me to dissect, but it's just another way for me to see what's going on.
You're a trendsetter in the business development world, Jamie.
Do you do that?
I don't use Google alerts.
You
no.
should do it.
I don't.
Yeah, you should at least have one for your company because let's say your company's in the news. Don't you want to share it? Like, don't you want to know about it?
Sure, I do.
Even if it's just like a Langehaumer construction in the corner, I still want to know.
Google alerts.
Yes. So
Get on
if you
it.
haven't set one up for yourself too, because I got one on my.
Oh boy.
You got to make sure you're keeping the rep
staying out of the police blotter. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Jamie, listen, I really, really appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you for having
Thanks for
me.
coming in. Is there anything you want to say in parting?
I'm pretty much, I said it all. I think I'm good.
Give out all your trade secrets?
Yes. I got a few in my pocket, but
Good
most
deal.
of them I think are pretty, like if you go to a business development conference or read a blog about business development, you'll learn about this stuff.
Or you can call Jamie. She'll give you some time.
Yeah. Well, that's the next thing you guys start the podcast. I've been wanting to do a blog, but it's just content.
Find the time.
The content part.
There's plenty of content rolling around in your head, Jamie.
Yeah. While I'm working out at 6 a.m.
Shop Talk thanks you, Jamie.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Love you guys.